Hello, Cloudy Realms members and staff. This is your lead dev eXish, and today I'm going to be giving you guys the results to the effects contest which we announced last week in the last video, which was coincidentally our first video. Um, it's been cool to see this contest go on for a while. We ended up getting 6 responses to it, which is great. If you don't know what this contest was about and this happens to be the first video you're watching on the channel, of course, this contest was for people to try and figure out what my imagination was for the physical manifestation of some of the effects that you'll be able to get in upcoming crates on the server, which is great. They're basically like rare particle effects. And I listed out the names, and people had to try and get as close as they could to those physical forms that I was imagining. And people submitted some very cool responses. One of them even changed what my original thought of one was to make it the way that it is now, which is amazing. I'd say it's just great. But anyways, so what I'm going to be doing is, of course, before going over the responses, the points, and everything and whatnot, I'm going to be going over each of the names again for anyone who didn't see the first video and who didn't end up participating in the contest, and just listing off all those, showing them, and then saying how they actually are going to look like. And then once I tell you what my thoughts were on how they were going to look like, we're going to go over each person's response, how many points I would give them, and then of course at the very end looking at the actual points that I tallied up, and then we'll take a look at the winner, who will be receiving 3 crates right when they're released. Which of course I still have no idea when they are, but you will be. Don't worry, whoever you are, you don't really know yet, but you will know soon. So, going over this, what were the effects then? What were the effects? So, you have acidic eyes, oceanic nightmares, orbiting fire, ancient glyphs, modern glyphs, cloud 9, and insect invasion. So, here were my thoughts on all of these, because I know all of you were probably wondering very much how these effects are actually going to look in game. So, for acidic eyes, it's going to be a smoke cloud above your head with green eyes peering out of the smoke. And that's all. And of course, the eyes are going to be fading in and out at times. So, like, at first it could just be a smoke cloud, and then all of a sudden you'll slowly see these green eyes appear and then slowly dissipate. I think it's going to be kind of cool looking. No one, I'll say this right now, no one really ended up guessing the cloud part of it. Everyone was saying something relating to eyes mainly. So that, most people didn't really get full credit on that one. Oceanic Nightmares tricked up everyone. Because if I had included one more keyword, this would have been it. Oceanic eyes. Yeah, no, it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. You can imagine how creepy it is to have that, like, gray mist above your head and then just eyes appearing every so often, right? Oceanic Nightmares encompasses that entirely. It's just that the eyes are blue. That's all it is. So no one got that even close to right. So I'm sorry for tricking you on that one, but that was how that one went. Orbiting fire was kind of a gimme though to make up for that. It's literally just going to be a few fire particles like rotating in a circle above your head. I got some interesting responses from them, but it was for the most part a freebie. Ancient glyphs is going to be interesting. So I believe ancient glyphs, how it's going to be is you're going to have the enchantment book particle effects like flying off of you, like in the region where of course you got the effect on. So like if it happens to be an armor piece coming off of the armor piece, a hat, which is the most main one, then the head. However, these glyphs, as I call them, are going to be orange. That's what it is. So orange glyphs kind of popping off of you. That's what we were looking at. And modern glyphs, no one ended up getting this one. No one had any idea. It's just the same thing but green. All right, to simulate technology in a way. So then we have these last two. The second to last one, no one except one person nailed. And it was crazy. Cloud 9 is not just a bunch of clouds, okay? It is a bunch of hearts flying off of you. It's floating hearts, essentially, which I'm surprised not that many people got, but at the same time, not really, because I don't think a lot of people would have known that. And then the last one, insect invasion. It's a bunch of black particles just kind of jittering off of you. However, it's been changed due to one of the responses, and every so often a black particle will be an XP orb, like fading in and out to simulate a firefly. All right? But the original one was just going to be a bunch of black particles simulating flies flying around you. So anyways, that's what I thought of what the effects are going to be. Um, so now let's go over what everyone said. Let's see what people said this should be. So for the first one, this one was left blank. If you guys don't know, we did get 6 responses, but 2 of them are blank, so 2 of them will not be counted in this. However, the 6th one does not have anything on it because it's one person who went back and said that theirs was this specific one. So of course it may have a name blank, but I'll tell you who it is anyway. But we're going to go over these ones even though they're blank anyways and we don't know who submitted them, just to give you an idea of what they would have gotten and, you know, just their thoughts as well. So for acidic eyes, they just said Eye of Ender. Of course, I said no points for this. It's not even close. Decent idea, but like, you know, it's nowhere close. And of course, they had no idea what Oceanic Nightmares was. I mean, you could have even given like a guess of something relating to water, but no. So that's 0 points so far. And then orbiting fire, those flame things you get from blaze rods. So I'm assuming his thought was something along the lines of like blaze powder circling around the head or something like that. But it really, it wasn't. As you all know, it's a decent idea, but I basically did not give points for that. And then this one I actually did give points for. So book text particle. It's not orange. It doesn't mention anything about orange, but it is true. The effects that are bouncing off of you are the book enchantment glyph particles. So with that being said, he got half a point for that. So great for you. And then of course the rest of them were nothing. So with that being said, let's move on to the next one, which is also blank, as I told you. But this one was pretty decent. This one was actually pretty decent, so I'm sorry for the person who did submit it. But, let's see. So for acidic eyes, they said, poison effect that doesn't move upon creating. I had no idea what this meant. No idea. Because I don't imagine a poison effect right off the back of me that, like, makes any sense to me. So I gave it 0. If people want to argue that, they can, but I really don't have a clue why that was that way. Oceanic Nightmares I gave half a point for because, to be honest, water droplets raining above the player within a 1.5 block radius is creative enough. To be honest, that's like, it's pretty close. It doesn't fail at the Nightmares part, but to be honest, it descriptively describes Oceanic, so I gave it half a point. Orbiting fire, this one I also gave half a point to, and there's a reason why. 2 fireballs rotating the player 1 second to rotate. Now, the thing is, this one it was a little bit hard for me to decide on, just because of what some of the people answered, but it's only 1. And I know some other people said that it was particles. I remember that. But this one, it discreetly says 2 fireballs, and when it says fireballs, I imagine the actual fireball item, which would be a little bit cheap instead of using fire particles. So that's why I gave it half a point. But it's still the basic idea. This person also made some fairly good guesses for the glyphs. For ancient glyphs, they said enchantment book effects dripping from the player, which is very close. In fact, the second one has exactly what it's going to be doing. Enchanting book effects radiating out and upwards. Maybe not upwards, just radiating out really. And maybe it's a combination, radiating out and then dripping, right? But here's the deal. They said this, so I gave half a point for each, but they didn't say like orange effects or green effects. If they said that, I would have given full credit. But, you know, no one really got that anyways, but that's the closest I think people got. Then Cloud 9, this person said smoke effects that completely cover the player's legs. No, no, it's not smoke. And then insect invasion, hunger particles that jitter randomly around the player. I gave half a point for this one. Hunger particles are nowhere close. It's supposed to be just little black particles that simulate flies, and then every so often an XP orb or something, right? But they do in terms of the form that they go through, they do actually jitter around randomly. So because of the fact that they nailed that on the spot, I gave them half a point. So those were the two ones that didn't have anything on him. Let's look at the people who actually got it now. So again, this one has no name, but number 6 told me that this was, and confirmed that this was indeed this guy. This is QWERTY the O, which is one of our community members who is going to be editing some of our videos in the future on this channel. So his guesses for acidic eyes, we got green particle of some sort, i.e. totem of undying coming from your eyes. Decent guess, half a point. I'll take it. It doesn't mention anything about the cloud, which none of them did, but it's a pretty decent idea, right? So half a point. Oceanic nightmares, I didn't give anything for because, I mean, well, it's bubbles, but like not in. It's somewhat of a guess, but if it would have been more descriptive in terms of the ocean side of things, I would have given more. And then orbiting fire, this was, I believe, a 1. Flame particles orbiting either the body or the head. That's nailing it right on the head, right on the spot. Oh, head. Oh my god. But you know, that nails it right in the coffin. That's it. So 1 point there. And then ancient glyphs, enchantment runes floating off of you. That's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for, except for the orange. So, you know, it doesn't mention orange, so I gave half a point. And then actual letters flowing off of you somehow, I didn't take because it's not close. If you just answered this again, I would have given you another half point. But you know, whatever. It's close. It's pretty good. This is the person who nailed it right on the point. Floating hearts. QWERTY, good job. You're the only one who actually nailed down Cloud 9 for a full point and even got close to whatever it was. So great job on that one. And he also actually influenced me to change what the insect invasion effect looks like, to add in the XP orbs every so often to look like fireflies. Because, I mean, I gave him half a point for this because it doesn't mention anything about like black particles like randomly jittering around the player or something. But this was actually a decent enough of idea to add in like every so often that I was like, you know what? Sure. So I gave it half a point. And that was how I graded QWERTYs. So let's move on to the next two. And these are the last two. So this is Scones. He's one of our builders. What he said for acidic eyes was green floating eye particle. I gave half a point for it. It's pretty, you know, it's generalized green floating eye particle. Like how else am I supposed to describe this? No one really knew about the cloud thing, so I'm sorry, but again, that's half a point. Now, I gave him also half a point for this next one, and I think this is the only points anyone scored on Oceanic Nightmares. Dark water particles. I mean, what other information did he have? It was going to be the exact same thing as acidic eyes, just with blue eyes. So he put down his best guess. He had no idea. But the fact that he put down dark, if he had said water particles, I wouldn't have taken it. The fact that he said dark and actually took into account the nightmares part of it, which no one else did, that's why I'm giving him half a point. It's because he actually decided to put down all parts of it, which no one else did. So yeah. Then we also have orbiting fire particles that move in a circle. I gave full point for that because, yeah. I mean, it's kind of obvious. And then ancient glyphs, the enchantment rune table particles surrounding the player. I took a half point for that, of course. Doesn't mention anything about the orange, but it's very close, of course. And then I have no idea for modern glyphs. I'm sure most people didn't. Cloud 9 cloudy particles. Oh, why do you have to fall for it? And then you could have been a little more descriptive there. Insect invasion. If you had just don't say bugs. You have to be descriptive with what the effect is going to look like for it to really be, to gain any points here. But otherwise, that was pretty good responses in general, as I'd say. And then our last one, Tyrone Brown, who was an old builder on the server. Um, their choices were floating eyes, which, hey, they actually got that it wasn't going to be on the eyes, right? It's just floating, which is that's pretty close. Right? I said I take it, but it doesn't mention anything about the green this time. If it was green for floating art particles, I maybe would have considered a full point, but instead I decided to give half a point. Tsunami, it's a pretty decent idea, but it's not like how would I even incorporate that, right? But it is a decent idea, but it's not getting any credit. I'm sorry. Spinning fire particles, I gave full credit for that. I mean, basically that's how that's gonna go. And then ancient glyphs, special glyphs, modern glyphs, normal glyphs. Right? Just explain it a little more. You kind of almost just repeated what this was. I mean, you're not giving any like real detail as to what this means. You're just saying they're special glyphs. What kind of glyphs, right? Kind of a deal. And then Cloud 9, they said huge cloud. It's a no. And then insect invasion, insects all over the place. Again, same thing with bugs. You just had to say what the insects are. That's all you had to do to gain some sort of credit. And in fact, if they did here, then that would have given him basically full credit, because all over the place technically means jittering all over the place. So it would have been really close, but I didn't give any credit because you need to actually describe the particle, not just saying, oh, it's an insect. Right. So anyways, those were the responses. Again, as I mentioned, this last one, just to prove it, this was QWERTY's. He said he already answered it, and then this is what confirmed it. He just said that these were going to be XP things, right, for insect invasion, which we now know is the third one. So, with that being said, hopefully this was a decent enough of a video, and I'll make sure to talk to you all later. Bye-bye. No, of course. Don't worry, I'm not forgetting to announce who the winner was. That's the whole point of the video. So these were the results. The winner of the 3 crates, when they are first released, when the system's first released for the crates, is QWERTY. Good job, QWERTY. You did very well. You would not have won. Scone, you would have won if QWERTY hadn't gone back almost 2 days before and said, oh, this was mine. So he's very lucky that he did that. But otherwise, great job, everyone who did participate. And for anyone who is thinking about it but didn't end up doing it or had your own guesses, you can play along on your own scale, go along with what my grading may have been, knowing from what I've said to other people's. And maybe you could have won it. Who knows? But it'll just let you get an idea of if you would have won and you just didn't end up submitting it or not. So anyways, that's all I've got for this video, guys. Congratulations to QWERTY, and I will see you all in the next video for Cloudy Realms. Bye-bye.